A very, very wonderful Monday. Welcome once again to the Millennium Divas show. Today we have a very, very dear friend, a great mentor, and a wonderful woman entrepreneur called Ms. Shabia Ravi Walia. Welcome, Shabia, to the Millennium Divas show. Glad to have you here with us.
Thank you, Bhavesh. Thank you so much. I think this is such a wonderful initiative on your part, Millennium Divas. And I love the word divas. So thank you.
This is for all the divas out there, for all of you guys. Yeah. So glad to have you with us. So let me briefly introduce our guest. Ms. Shavia Ravi Walia, she is the founder and owner of Wild Earth. I love the name. Is a media professional for the past 24 years and author of the best-selling book called Mama Mia, Mania. She's also the founder of Wild Earth natural skincare line, which she started, I think, 4 years back. She also runs the Blue Bells community dedicated to helping and serving the underprivileged. Wow. She's also a winner of several prestigious awards. Shabia is a motivational speaker and speaks at many prestigious events. She's also been a part of Millennium Divas Women Power as well in the past. So once again, very warm welcome, Shabia, to this show.
Thank you so
Exciting
much.
to have you here with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Shabia, my objective to connect with you and bring you on the show was I've seen your journey, not really closely, but having known you for several years now.
Yeah.
And I've seen the kind of work you have been doing, especially in the entrepreneurship space. We have been fortunate to work together on some wonderful workshops in the lockdown, and I think it has been a great learning experience for me personally as well. So my first question to you is, what motivated you to move out from being a media professional to create a brand called the Wild Earth in the personal hygiene and the wellness care brand?
Bhavesh, I think this generally happens with people who are entering the 40s or who get into the 40s, right? That eternal question of what am I going to leave behind? I have worked for so many years in an industry. What is mine in this entire thing, right? I think that question starts coming into your mind, and that's what was happening to me. I had just turned about, say, I was entering into my mid 40s, and I also started realizing that in media, how much ever you write for other people or create some show, it is always somebody else's. Even if you're a producer, it is the channel's copyright. It is not yours. So that question used to bother me. Secondly, I think the timings and the stress factor and everything was getting onto me. Parallelly, I had a child, so I think motherhood also, I always say motherhood makes you a better human being, because then you start wanting to leave a better environment, better earth for your child. You start questioning what are you putting on his or her body, all that. So I think for me it was वो saying है ना कि जब आपको कुछ करना होता है तो सारा यूनिवर्स आपको वो सिग्नल्स देने लग जाता है. So though it all came from different factors, I ran out of a body scrub, I couldn't find it here. तो ये 4-5 चीजें कुछ ऐसी हुई कि when it all came together, I was like, wow, this is something I can do from home. I can do with my child being around. It was closer to my heart because it was contributing to conserving Mother Earth. It was also within my philosophy of that cosmetics and skincare products should be clean and honest. And the whole I think the kick of creating my own legacy and leaving behind something, even if it is a small company, leaving behind something, leaving behind a philosophy which was very much my own, which for which all the copyrights were mine. I think all that just led to me starting Wild Earth. And that it was not a very planned business decision. It happened overnight. I woke up, I made a scrub, I sold some scrubs. The 6th day, I realized that we need a name. My husband photographed, put it on Facebook. And I think this was how a business was born. And then, exactly as we moved along, we started concretizing a lot of things and made it into a formal business.
Fantastic, fantastic. So what was the philosophy behind naming it Wild Earth? I'm sure there has been a lot of thought that you have gone, right?
Yes. Essentially, I wanted to, say that it is essence of nature. So initially, it was called Tattva, because Tattva means essence of nature. But somewhere during that journey, very soon in that journey, actually, we were approached by a very big company in Japan for investment and funding. And the first question they asked me was, is Tatva trademarked? And there was a big learning there, because as I said, the business had started overnight. We had started making money. So all these things were not yet, I mean, they were a part of the plan, but they hadn't happened. So that led me back to the drawing board. And when I went to trademark it, I did not get the trademark. So that's when we realized, and because of this funding and investment company coming in, we also realized that we were going to go global very soon, because it was an international company. So we thought, why not have an English name so that it has resonance throughout every country in the world. And then when we started, choosing words, we realized that I wanted to capture two things. One is that it was for women. So for me, like, even if I had to define myself, I'm very, very rooted in my thoughts, values, but at the same time, I can be very wild. Like, I can start a company overnight. I can go for an adventure overnight. So I think every woman somewhere has a very wild spirit, but at the same time, वो हमेशा धरती से जुड़ी रहती है. So that was the philosophy behind the name. And I also thought that wild also means forest, earth also means mother earth. So I think वो woman और earth का concept बिल्कुल blend हो गया. And then I think, and ever since then, everybody, including you, have been telling me that the name is really nice. And I think it encapsulates everything we were trying to do with the brand, So I think it just fell into my lap. I'm a writer, so I sent my lawyer 150 names, and finally he said, "You realize, na, every name I check, I'll be charging you for it." And I said, "Really?" So he said, "Yeah, usually people give 5 names. That also like after 4 days. You're sending me 150 names in an hour. So stop." So finally I had to shut it, and I said, "Okay, let's go with Wild Earth." I think it just means everything I want to say, and that's how the name was born.
Fantastic. And I am also given to understand that over the past 3.5 years, you have completely bootstrapped this entire brand and created a. So I think it's a commendable thing, especially in the startup world. You talk about investments and funding. It is a great example of especially a woman entrepreneur. I say that very specifically and distinctly, to bootstrap a company for 3+ years. I think as people talk about that 1,000 days of journey, I think you've surpassed that, and you've created a much brand. So great, congratulations on that.
Thank you. I think, Bhavesh, I personally feel that there is a lot of emphasis on that if you've taken funding, you're successful. I completely don't buy that, because success, I feel, is so personal, right? Success for you could be making 50 crores a year. Somebody, आप किसी से if you take 10 crores and you make it into a 50 crores, that's fine. But if you've not taken anything from anyone and still making 10 crores a year, I think that too is success. Somewhere we have forgotten that, right? Ultimately, what is funding? You're taking a loan from someone and you have to repay that person. So I feel that's very personal. I mean, hats off to people who take it. And it's just that I've always felt that the day I am ready for it, I will take it. Not just because somebody is ready to give me the money. And that's why I did not take it the first time also when it came. I mean, after a journey of almost 8 to 9 months, I decided that I do not want to go with it, because I felt that I did not need that scaling up at that point of time. So I think this whole take funding, grow very big is very overhyped in my I mean, at some point, yes, if there is a need, you definitely take it. But I think it's wrong to judge anyone's success by how much funding that person has taken.
Correct, exactly. Could you tell us a bit more about this new thing that I saw in the recent couple of months, where you spoke about idea to income blueprint? It looks like a fabulous concept. What is it all about? I'm very curious on that.
So, well, Bhavesh, I think you were very much a part when it was happening, right? We were doing a lot of seminars together and workshops together. And I just realized that when I was on this journey, and even now, sometimes, though of course, now I have friends and people around me like you who you can always call and bounce off something. But otherwise, if you realize, an entrepreneur's journey is very, very lonely. Right, your wins are very low. Wins, at least you can put on social media and celebrate, but your losses and your down days are very, it's solitary, right? So I realized that there are a lot of entrepreneurs like me, and there have been so many learnings in my journey. Okay, and I am always the first one to accept that I made mistakes. So, like I told you, the trademark was a mistake. Then 1 year back, I shut down my retail division because I realized that it was very, very expensive and it was eating into my other 3 divisions which were doing well. So I shut it down. So I realized that since I didn't have anybody to discuss things with at that point of time, it would be very good if someone wanted to open a business and had someone to just bounce off ideas. Like even today, one of my friends called me and she said, "Hey, how does one get a manufacturing license? Is it too early to get a manufacturing?" And I said, "Yeah, it's too early for you because you're still experimenting." And I told her, "You need a setup, you need a place, hygiene, fire hazards." She was making candles, so I was telling her all that needs to be set up. So I just realized, what if there was a community where people could just come and ask you questions, and you gave them a choice that whether they wanted a group mentoring or a one-to-one mentoring, free mentoring, paid mentoring, things like that. And it's almost like having a friend on a speed dial who you can call, and because that person has gone through that journey, that person resonates with what you're going through and is not judging you. So also during COVID times, as you and I were talking, a lot of people lost their jobs, especially because men are the larger working force. A lot of men were losing their jobs, or at least they were having pay cuts. And I knew that a lot of women would now want to start working. So the woman who was making theplas would want to probably start selling it on a much bigger scale, or someone's making candles. So I realized, what if I could be that mentor who they could call and ask? So it started really from there. Then I also created an online course called The Idea to Income, which is basically the first 30 things you should do if you want to start a business. So it takes you through the steps, it handholds you, what are the initial steps you should be taking. And then from that, the idea of a community grew. That what if there was a community where I could mentor people, nurture people, put motivational quotes every day, any article I read, blogs, things like that. And today I think we have about 309 entrepreneurs on that community. There are many who take one-to-one mentoring from me. There are some who take group mentoring from me. So I think it became a very nice thing, because I wanted to always give back as an entrepreneur. I think I've been extremely lucky with various people like you around me, and me then getting a chance to go to IIM and IIT. I also realized that not many would probably get that chance at this age, right? So it was my way of. So it's a free community, and anyone can join it and ask me questions. And now I've started a new thing 5 days back. Is they can all send me their doubts and questions on a voice message, and I reply to them on a voice message through the week. So I thought that could be quicker. I could address more people like that, given my time schedule. So this is I'm largely a giving back person, Bhavesh, and without trying to be boastful about it. I think my entire being is about giving back. I always feel मुझे इतना मिला है तो मुझे इतना देना चाहिए वापस. तो वो कैसे मैं करती रहूं, and my constant endeavor is that how do I give back. So in the business world, this is my contribution, that I want to see as many entrepreneurs. I think I want to at least mentor, if not many, at least 10,000 entrepreneurs in the next 2 to 3 years, I think.
It just gave me goosebumps, when you talked about mentoring and giving back. I think this is what I firmly believe, that whatever learnings that we have had, whatever learning that we have catered, and I think there have been a lot of times where we have got back from the people, and I think it is our individual social responsibility. I call it as ISR, to give back to the society. Tell me, Shravya, is this free mentoring that you provide, or it's just paid?
So the community is free. I also give free mentoring. I do webinars and things like that, which is absolutely free. But if someone wants very specific mentoring for their business, so then I have also created 3 modules. See, I also feel that when people pay for it, they also are serious about it, right? Then they feel, oh, I've paid this much, so I should. So I have created modules where people can, choose to talk to me for an hour, or they can have me for say 3 months, or they can actually have me for a good 6 months, and it's very, very reasonable. But more than making money, it's more about that they should feel invested in it, because because I also realized, and I know we have had this discussion, that when you give everything away for free, then sometimes it's not valued. So I do give a lot free. I mean, every day there are tons of things I keep posting on the group, so you can do a lot of learning there. But if you want me to answer questions which are very, very specific to your business and give you solutions and things like that, then I do charge a small amount for an hour or a week or whatever it is. And if I realize that that person definitely needs my help but cannot pay also, then I do away with the charge. But that essentially is just to make you put your skin in the game rather than paying me, because I feel if you had to buy a book, you would spend that money to buy a book, right? You wouldn't get it free. So that's the only thought behind making one option a payable option.
Fantastic. No, I think
A lot of people have taken that option, so I don't think it pinches you. Because think about it: if I today have to talk to someone who's been in the industry for so many years, and I wouldn't mind having a coffee with him or her and pay for that 1 hour, because that 1 hour is going to give you so much of gyan, which probably if you make mistakes in entrepreneurship, then you end up losing a few lakhs.
Absolutely. I think thank you for acknowledging that mentoring should not be free. I think that's something that I also firmly believe. It's a great way to give back to society, but at the same time, make sure that it is valued. I think that is the whole purpose behind, whatever charges, be it even 1 rupee or 10 rupees or 100 rupees.
Yeah.
What matters is, as you rightly said, you need to be invested in that as well.
I mean, gurus used to ask for dakshina, right? If it wasn't meant to be, then why was it started in the first place? Because they said, and I always feel there should be an energy exchange, right? I give you something, you give something back to me, or at least you pay it forward. So I always tell people that if I teach you something, please go and teach 5 more people if you're not paying me at least, so that it continues. So
I think energy, stored is a big problem. Same way knowledge stored is a big problem, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's a great way. Absolutely. So Shabir, my next question is, from lathering soaps to entertaining soaps. Sounds like an exciting journey to me, I think. I can say that. Can you tell me a bit more about this Khatala and Sons? It's this great thing that I saw, and I think it's going fabulous as we speak.
Yeah. So, Bhavesh, the journey has been ulta, from soaps to soaps. So the television soaps came first and the lathering soaps came later. So when I started Wild Earth, I took a break from media for some time, and I think for 1 or 2 years I just freelanced and did very little. But if you're good at your work and all, the industry which you left never forgets you. So people kept on telling me come back and things like that. And one of my very dear friends, Ravi Bhushan, he called me and he said, why don't we partner and start creating our own shows? And as I told you, the only question which made me leave media was what is mine. So when he suggested this, and I'd been fighting this battle of whether I really want to start making my own shows and things like that. And when a dear friend partnered with me, I said, "हाँ चलो मजा आएगा. मुझे हर चीज में ना मजा आना चाहिए. Otherwise I don't do it." So I was like, "चलो साथ में काम करेंगे, रोज मिलेंगे, मजा आएगा." So that's how we partnered. And this show specifically, I had read about the story of 2 girls who became boys to run their father's saloon when their father fell sick. And this was in a small village in Uttar Pradesh. And because they knew that they couldn't run the barber's saloon as girls, they became boys. And the villagers supported them for 4 years. And eventually they became, when the reality came out, then, Sachin Tendulkar, Farhan Akhtar, everybody went and got their hair cut from these girls as part of the Gillette campaign. So when I read this story in Times of India, I remember I sent it to a friend, and within hours, that friend also sent me the same clip without realizing that I had also sent the same. She's another dear friend of mine, Natasha. And we said, this is a show, we should make a show out of it. And I and Ravi started writing it, whatever. We made an entire story around it. And we made around 2 years ka story out of it. And then we contacted those girls for the rights and things like that. And I think when we narrated it to Sub TV, they instantly liked it and they loved it. And they said, yes, this is a story about women empowerment, and it's so relatable, right? 2 daughters standing up for their father and taking his business ahead, taking his profession ahead. And the catchline, the tagline of the show is, काम और सपनों का कोई gender नहीं होता.
Correct.
So that's what the show propagates, that you can, you want to become a pilot, there's no man woman. A human being has to drive a plane, fly a plane. There's no man woman in that, right? So let your dreams soar, let your dreams. And so we got the show, we started working on it. The entire COVID period, lockdown period was, it went in creating this show. And now I'm also writing the show. I mean, I'm writing the episodic story for the shows. Of course, we've written the bigger story, but now I'm also writing the episodic story. I also supervise all the scripts on the show. And I'm very happy the show is doing well and it's resonating with the audience. And Bhavesh, I've always said that whenever I use my voice, it will always be for the progressive stance of women. I wouldn't ever want to make regressive shows or shows that show women only as people in the kitchen who make khana for their husbands and keep karwa chauth. Nothing against women who keep karwa chauth and nothing against women who only cook. But for me, it's always about pushing the envelope. And I also feel that it's not men who are stopping us. It's our own mentality which is stopping us. I have only met men who have been very supportive. So yeah, so that's the third aspect in apart from Wild Earth and
Thank you. And let me thank you for acknowledging my efforts also in that.
I am very happy to see that there are so many men who have. I mean, I've always told you that there are a lot of men who have supported me on my entrepreneurial journey. But that's sad because there are a large number of women also in the entrepreneurial force. But somehow I think. They haven't come out as mentors, or you don't see them that much, or maybe women are insecure of women, so they don't go to the women, they go to the men.
Maybe that can be one of the reasons. But I think the things are changing. I think times are changing.
Yeah.
There's a great opportunity, and especially I think COVID for us has been a great eye opener and a great space to rethink and realign our energies and forces together also.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. So it's been a huge leveler, I think. Yeah.
True.
Men have suddenly realized that housework is not a 1 hour job.
Exactly. I could absolutely acknowledge that fact.
Yeah.
So my next question again revolves around your thought that you shared in terms of giving back, right? And I also know you have been, not only a women power entrepreneur, but also a giver who firmly believe in giving back to the society. What is it that you feel, as individuals, as entrepreneurs, we should do moving forward? Because that is something that needs a lot of advocacy in terms of awareness as well.
Yeah. So Bhavish, I feel that when we become entrepreneurs, I think we give ourselves the power to choose to make a change in society. We become influencers. I mean, when I was working for media, so I had jobs and I was working for a company, and probably the focus was on how to make the company profitable, right? But I remember that when I became an entrepreneur myself, I suddenly realized that I had so much power to even change the life of that worker who was working for me, even if it was just that one person. So even if he was a young boy who is from the north and who thinks that women shouldn't work, for him to even acknowledge me as a boss, and I had the power to change his mindset by sitting with him on the floor and do as much mehnat as he was doing. And the result of that was within 6 months, he realized that there's really no difference between men and women, right? At the same time, when you become an entrepreneur, you are responsible for the lives of all your workers, their wives, their children, when you change their mindset, they pass it on to the next generation in terms of their kids. So I feel that we become social influencers and we get a voice. And when you win awards or when you get to do interviews like this, my husband always asks me, I mean, how come you enjoy so much doing interviews? And I say, see, it's a free platform, first of all, to promote your brand. Secondly, your thoughts, people start seeing you as a person rather than someone who makes soaps for you, right? And third, I can build on a social change. Anything I say here will get resonated with somebody who will then go and tell somebody. So I think entrepreneurship gives you that power. That power doesn't lie in working in a job or working for a government office or a private sector. I think entrepreneurship really, really gives you that job. And that's why I feel that giving back should be such an important part of entrepreneurship. And when I say giving back, na Bhavish, I don't really mean money. I mean, though we have done a lot of that kind of giving back also. But giving back should be about ideas, knowledge, time, caring, boosting having somebody's back, your fellow co-entrepreneur, becoming an entrepreneur buddy for somebody, saying, hey, you share with me. I mean, everybody doesn't have a co-founder. I don't have a co-founder. And sometimes I miss someone to speed dial and ask, oh, this is what I'm doing. Is it okay? So, and I think, so there are 2-3 levels why I say giving back, at a very manifestation and universal level, where the more you give back, the more comes back to you, right? So, you do me one favor, then the next time you say, hey, do an interview for me, I say yes. I meet 4 of your friends, you meet 4 of my friends, networking happens, better business happens. So, all those things. and one person cannot do it all, right? So so that giving back happens when you spread knowledge. When I give so freely, I know some people tell me, oh, you give so freely, so we are also now motivated to give freely to others. Earlier we used to feel, अरे उनको बता देंगे तो वो हमारा business चुरा लेंगे. कोई आपका business नहीं चुरा सकता. कोई आपकी, like I always say, you can steal my writings, but you cannot steal my thoughts. You cannot steal my mind, my brain. That you cannot, right? You can steal my idea, but it will still be a different show. You can learn the entire process of soap making from me, but you will still make a different soap than what I make. That is what I believe. Because in हाथों की भी कोई बात होती है, आपके नीयत की भी कोई बात होती है, आपके thoughts की भी कोई बात होती है, आपके intention की कोई बात होती है. So for me, giving back is that, and I feel that every entrepreneur should give back at whatever level they can. Be a part of communities, make your own community, share resources, share workplaces, share labor, share man force. You can do so much, you know, because individually, small scale entrepreneurs like us don't have the resources to have everything. But I could share a workplace for you. My social media person can also do your social media. You can take some help from me in terms of other things. I think giving back, giving in exchange, it's so important for everybody's business to bloom.
Fantastic. I completely agree with this thought of giving back, and especially when this not only in this turbulent times, but I think times are always turbulent, provided how you look at them. And I think a collaborative ecosystem is the need of the hour, because as you rightly said, community is all about co-creation, co-support, and also adding value to each other. And I think this is where entrepreneurs can play a much larger role. In not only in terms of, as you rightly said, money. I think money, I always believe build value and the valuation will follow, right? So money will come provided you add value to your consumers, your customers, your stakeholders as well, right? Very insightful, Shabya. Thank you so much. It's been really a great chatting with you always, as I always say. But I think this is more special because now these thoughts are not going to be between you and me. I think it will go move forward to a lot of our women entrepreneurs in the community and to a lot of entrepreneurs outside the community as well, right? Before I let you go, I have one last, question that I wanted to personally ask you. So each one of us has some learning as an entrepreneur, and that they acquired during, his or her journey as well, right? What would be your one message that you wish to give to our Millennium Divas and all the entrepreneurs out there?
Bhavesh, when I meet people at different forums, I see so many people have such brilliant ideas, and I get so excited. When I meet them after 4 months, I realize they are still there, just with the idea. They are still thinking that जब बारिश नहीं होगी तब मैं आइडिया लॉन्च करूंगी, फिर जब बारिश आ जाएगी तब मैं लॉन्च करूंगी, ठंड निकल जाए फिर लॉन्च करूंगी, बच्चे स्कूल में चले जाए. I feel, I often say this, that the clock I see in my house, I call it the death clock. So, and it not in a bad or a morose way. I say that, okay, if my mom passed away at 77, for example, 67, maybe my average life is also 67. I'm 47 right now, so I have only 20 years. What can I do in these 20 years that, I don't die with regrets? So why aren't we running to chase our dreams? Why are we thinking next monsoon, next summer, next winter? Why not today? So I always feel that, and I know people say, what if I fail? What if I lose? But you can fly. If you can fail, you can fly too. What if you fly? Nobody asks that, right? Because the conditioning has led us to believe that we will fail only. And there's nothing wrong in failing also again. So I always, let me quote that, if you fail fast, you will also be able to adapt faster and grow faster. So rather fail at 30 than fail at 60, right? But you will have lesser energy. So I think if you have an idea, at least there is no harm in testing it out. If you want to start a soap company, at least make 10 soaps and see if people will buy it. You want to make candles, at least make 50 candles and distribute it and see what. At least you won't have the regret that you did not try, right? So believe in yourself, jump at the idea, execute it, because ideas not executed are just that. They are ideas, and everybody has tens and thousands of them. And I really, really believe that if you are passionate about what you want to do, then the resources, the people to support you, everything will start appearing like a divine vision. somebody will either come and help you, somebody will either give it to you, or you will make your own path. If you have an idea today, start today. And if you don't know how to and this is exactly why I started Idea to Income, that because every 4 months I would meet the same women and they would be still there only, that idea to hai, but we are still thinking what to do with it. And I'm like, why? 4 months of your life is gone. You'll never be the same, what you were yesterday. So just do it. So I think that's my number one thing, that just do it, because जब तक करोगे नहीं ना, उसमें क्या गलत है, क्या सही है, whether you would have succeeded or failed. If KFC owner wouldn't have gone home and fried those 2 pieces of chicken at 65, imagine we would not have a McDonald's to run to every time we are hungry.
Correct.
तो वो 2 pieces of chicken घर पे लेके जाके बेसन लगा के उसको फ्राई कीजिए, ताकि आपको पता चले कि इतना तेल में ही डालना है और इतने डब्बे और डाले बिना ही. I mean, if you're going to sit around the water and say water is very cold, I'm not going to put my feet, it never happens. So that's, if I had to say, choose only one thing, I would say, put your idea to execution. Take your idea to income. The world needs more ideators, more executors. It does not need dreamers. It needs doers. At least I consider myself a doer. So do it. If you fail, that's fine. Nobody else is interested in your success or your failure. It's only yours.
True.
वो क्या बोलेगा, भावेश क्या बोलेगा if I fail? Nothing. Bhavesh is not thinking about me. Bhavesh is enough of his own troubles.
Exactly. Absolutely. I think it is very valid, right? And this one last thought that comes into my mind. It's a saying that I firmly believe also, right? It's better to try and fail rather than fail to try. I think it holds really a great significance to at least go out, explore yourself. Don't worry, what others say. I think they will always keep saying whether you succeed or fail, right? So.
And Bhavesh, they did an interesting research, where they interviewed people who were just about to die. And they said, what are your regrets? And 97% of the people said that my only regrets are the things that I did not try. Nobody said that I wanted a bigger home, or I wanted to meet Shah Rukh Khan, or I wanted to be the prime minister. Everyone said my only regret is that I wanted to try that, but I didn't try. I wanted to go bungee jumping. I didn't do it. I wanted to start a business. I didn't. I wanted to say I love you to my children. I didn't do it. So the things you did not try are the things you will take to your deathbed. Why should you take them? You should go empty-handed saying, I've done it all. Bring it on.
Absolutely. And I think the richest place on this entire earth is the graveyard, right? So a lot of people take a lot of things.
Spend it here while you're alive.
Yeah. Exactly. So wonderful thoughts, Shavya. Thank you so much. I think it's been a great, as I always say, interacting with you. It gives me a lot of motivation, and I'm sure it will give a lot of food for thought. And lather for them to rinse their worries and start acting on that. Yeah. So thank you so much, Shavya, for joining us.
Thank you, thank you so much.
With you.
Yeah, all the best to Billy.